In this video, I want to provide one explanation as to why you might be struggling to heal your gut health if you're also experiencing chronic fatigue syndrome. Now, there are a lot of people that are on a constant mission to heal their gut and struggling. They've tried the diets, they've tried the supplements, they've tried the additional lifestyle strategies, and perhaps they feel some relief when they're doing these things, or perhaps they just don't get better full stop. And if you're struggling with chronic fatigue syndrome, this might be a cellular bioenergetic problem, meaning that the cells have a reduced ability to produce energy. And that might be true for certain key cells within the digestive system. So for example, if your parietal cells, these are cells that line the stomach that are responsible for producing stomach acids so you can digest your food optimally. If those cells have reduced energy production, they are not going to be able to fulfill their responsibilities, their functions, such as the production of stomach acid. This will leave someone in a hypoglycemia state, a low stomach acid state. And that is a risk factor for SIBO, for example. But it also means that they won't be able to digest their food optimally, in particular protein, but also fats and carbohydrates, because stomach acid is involved within the correct production of pancreatic enzymes and bile, which help with the digestion of your carbohydrates and fats. But we can take this one step further and think about other cells that line the gut, such as Paneth cells that produce antimicrobial compounds. So you have Paneth cells in your small intestine. These cells that line the gut produce antibacterial compounds. This is one of the ways that we maintain a healthy microbiome within the small intestine. If those cells have reduced energy production, then these compounds might not be produced at optimal levels for you to be able to maintain a healthy small intestine microbiome. And the same is true with colonocytes that are lining the large intestine, that have a big role to play within maintaining a healthy gut microbiome there as well. So you can start to see that actually, rather than gut issues driving chronic fatigue syndrome, it might be in a subset of people that their chronic fatigue syndrome is causing their gut issues, and they're never going to get on top of the gut issues until they've actually improved cellular bioenergetics, cellular energy production. So if this is you, if you are someone that has done all of the gut stuff, all of the gut protocols, and you just haven't been able to get long-term resolution, it might be time to flip the theory on its head. And rather than the general consensus of gut health is the root of all issues and chronic fatigue syndrome, we might need to start thinking about focusing more on supporting your cells producing energy. Now, there are many things that can be considered to do this. We're talking about mitochondrial function here. And the way I think about it is the analogy is a seesaw. On one end of the seesaw, you've got what do mitochondria need to function optimally? And on the other end of the seesaw, you've got what are things that can actually inhibit mitochondrial function or cause mitochondrial dysfunction. So what do mitochondria need? Well, they need actually an appropriate level of stress, which means they need a degree of cognitive challenge, and they need an appropriate amount of physical exercise. If we are not exercising within the capacity for us to exercise, because I'm very mindful we're on the topic of chronic fatigue syndrome here, we are missing the most potent stimulator of healthy mitochondria. So the question becomes, what can you do? And if that is sitting in bed and holding a can of baked beans in both arms and doing what we would call an isometric bicep curl, then that is where you have to start. But you have to have something in there. You've got to be challenging those muscles within the capacity for you to do that. So rather than just saying I'm too tired to exercise, the question needs to be, what am I able to do that isn't going to exacerbate my symptoms, that isn't going to cause a flare in symptoms by overdoing it? And we just have to start as small as we need to start. I have had clients doing 1 repetition of a bicep curl, 1 repetition of a tricep extension, one wall press up where you're standing against the wall, maybe a foot away, and you're literally just pushing yourself up to a sort of horizontal standing position or vertical position. So what can you do? Mitochondria also need key nutrients. They need antioxidants like glutathione. They need CoQ10. They need a lot of the B vitamins. They need magnesium. They need omega-3 fatty acids. They need oxygen and they need iron. So can you transport these nutrients to the mitochondria effectively? They actually indirectly require adequate levels of key hormones such as testosterone and progesterone as well. We need to be having plenty of polyphenols within our diets, plenty of sulfur within our diets. These are again providing the key substrates for healthy mitochondrial function. They need a healthy circadian rhythm. We can provide them with near-infrared, infrared light, whether that's getting outside in the sunshine or whether that's using an infrared light lamp. And then what are the things that can inhibit mitochondrial function? Well, things like blood sugar dysregulation, types of anemia. If we're not getting oxygen to the cell, then mitochondria cannot work effectively. Systemic inflammation will inhibit mitochondrial function. Various medications will. Various toxins will, such as certain mycotoxins. These are metabolites produced by certain species of mold that can inhibit mitochondrial function, and we'll be exposed to those molds potentially if we live in a water damaged property that's had a water leak or a flood, for example. So we have to be thinking about both sides of this. What do mitochondria need and what do they don't need to be able to produce adequate energy production so all of our cells can function properly? And that includes optimal stomach acid production, optimal motility, optimal antimicrobial production, optimal utilization of things like oxygen to maintain a healthy microbiome in our large intestine. So I really hope that for some of you listening who have both CFS and IBS, that this provides a little bit of a different approach to how you might be able to overcome your gut issues, which will obviously by default have an impact on your energy, because we're talking about creating better energy within the cell. And that is one of the, so to speak, root causes of chronic fatigue syndrome. Have you got what you need and have you got something that you don't need? That becomes the overarching concept for us here. And this is where functional testing, when possible, can be really helpful here, because you can go and test your nutrient status. You can go and test for some of these toxins. You can go and test for infections, and you can get a sense of which bodily system is under the most stress, which processes or bodily systems need the most support to be able to break that chain of events that has led you to where you are today. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm hoping to do more content over the coming weeks. So if there are topics topics that you would like me to cover, again, just leave a comment and I will get to them as quickly as I can. Thanks for listening, everyone. As I say, I hope this has been helpful and I'll be back very soon.